Hi, it's Xanthe. I thought I'd do a little bit of makeup and just talk about a few things. So first of all, I got a little tree frame which I'm going to put this painting in. So I did it on a canvas board. So I will just need to varnish it first, and then I'll see if I can attach the hardware first to finish that one off. Now I'll just put a little bit of makeup on, just getting ready for my part-time job. I sort of wanted to talk about sort of my aims with this channel and just sort of why it's called Soar Peppers and stuff. I'll see if I can cover that. Nothing scripted, just sort of improvise. Lately I've been going on more about colour, so you know, using makeup as examples and painting as examples. I recently just did a little bit of housekeeping. I'll try and show you the colours, but I won't explain all the makeup because otherwise it's another whole video. So I'll just try and talk about what is on my mind and do the makeup at the same time, see how well I can multitask. I've just I decided to just do a bit of housekeeping, do that occasionally, in the sense of just deleting videos with low views and ones which are not really relevant to what I consider Soar Peppers to be about. Soar Peppers is a name which I came up with. It was actually a book title for a book which is going to take me forever. It's a sequel to a book I wrote called Pet Peppers. So I self-published a book some years back with a mental health theme. It's also covering topics like grief and loss and stuff like that. If you want to have a look at anything like that, it's on my website, so soarpeppers.nz. Now I also take part in art exhibitions quite regularly, like a couple of times per year. And so while I have this opportunity, I've been, trying to do enough paintings. Soar Peppers is kind of really, in a sense, the creative expression which gives me a voice, and I share that with people. A lot of people have said they find what I've shared to be inspiring. I don't go on into detail on this channel, but I do have what's considered to be severe mental illness, bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, which is considered to be under a mental injury. That's why I work part-time, because I don't have capacity to manage full-time, and then one of the consequences of that is I'm on a very low income. So what I am often sharing is nothing fancy really. I actually spend more on paint than I do on makeup. So anyway, one of the things that I do is actually mix my colours with makeup, because it's exactly the same as mixing paint. Often the same pigments, the same principles, and it's kind of I prefer to use makeup just to sort of just make me look a little bit less tired, because I do get very, very tired, exhausted, and had a lot of chronic health issues over the years, which I don't really want to go into on this channel, because I've gone into it on my other channel, which I might do some housekeeping as well, called Bipolar Courage. So that channel, I actually though I have done a clean-up occasionally on there too. I sort of found that it used to be very hard for me to speak, and some people still criticise my not getting to the point, but it's sort of the YouTube has actually been a bit of a journey, because it's sort of helped evolve confidence and expressing my opinions, even if people might criticise or whatever. And it's sort of even if it doesn't come out all fluent, it's just coming out how it comes out. So keeping in mind that I was I had mutism as a child, even studying school. Sometimes as an adult I can't speak. It's you know, a lot of complex things. But anyway, I try to articulate best I can, and then one of the ways that I communicate is through my art. It's actually one way that people who I've never met actually kind of connect with me, is about my insights about colour, about my art, and the makeup things, just for fun, just on the side. Just because I usually put a little bit of makeup on as my work routine, so I'm just putting a little bit of powder on. I'm preferring like over 50, actually all my entire life really, you know, I've never been into heavy makeup, but I'm preferring, I've noticed that other women in their 40s and 50s are actually saying they prefer less makeup as well. If you do put heavy makeup on, it's just going to exaggerate everything in a bad way. So anyway, I'm just trying to aim for just adding a little bit of, you know, a bit of life, so people don't go, oh, you look really tired, you know, things like that. It's not just the colours you wear, it's also the lighting, it's also, you know, some of us are dealing with chronic health problems, some of us are, you can't afford to buy the exact colour. So anyway, this is a nice colour that I bought that I like. And let's just go on a little tangent here. So I've got my little Colour Mondo Mini here, which some people have asked me what it is. I just bought it online. It's a flat pack. But I find it quite useful for illustrating, talking about colour from my mind tangents, by the way. So we've got value, so that's your light through to dark. We've got chroma, which is basically more intense a colour is, and we've got chroma, which is more intense colours, and then going to the true neutrals to the true greys, through to the middle. This is how it's laid out. And then we've got the hue, which is basically like a flat colour wheel, you know, sort of like your, you know, your red, orange, yellow, whatever. Now this colour here is basically a dark red, so we are around about there. So we've got deep colours, and then we've got dark colours, we've got our bold colours, our light colours, and our pale colours. So, you know, you can give them all different classifications. But this is like a deep red, slightly towards magenta, whereas this one here is more leaning more towards the magenta and slightly muted. But you know, you don't have to have this really rigid segregation into warm and cool. I mean, even with my art, using both warm and cool, it's just, you know, I sort of notice the inconsistencies with colour analysis online, and notice all the arguing about colour theory and what have you. But at the end of the day, I think it's what is useful to you. And you know, you can argue and say C and Y are the true primers or whatever, but with pigments you don't get every colour from those. It's just an actual fact. If you actually tried it, you get a lot of colours from just 3 pigments, and you don't get all. And but anyway, what do I want? I'm trying to get back to the topic on hand. Did I say what this one was? This one's got a touch of violet in it, but it's also got orange in it, so it's a mixture of warm and cool. So you can read the ingredients and see what colour pigments are in there. Now, I kind of reorganised my channel into different playlists. I'm just trying a little bit of bronzer in this area where I tend to get untanned with my wearing glasses. So I'm just seeing if that makes much of a difference. A little bit there, just to sort of even a few areas out. So I'm not really a big bronzer person. What was I saying? This channel I've organised into some playlists and off the top of my head. One was still about colour theory and all that kind of stuff. One is just sharing some tips about doing art, especially I specialise in painting with acrylics these days. Although in the past I have tuition in oils and a touch of watercolours and experimented with this and that and the other thing. So I've just gone for a blush over the top, a powder one, that's sort of in a similar family. It's sort of a deeper colour. I have kept up most of the bird and New Zealand nature things, video clips. A couple of the bird ones have got lots of views. I keep them because nature and birds and stuff are often inspiration for paintings, and especially if you get any kind of block or anything creatively, go for a walk can be, you know, inspiration. So I've got colour, I've got painting, I've got birds separately because they're very important to me, which also goes with the Soar purpose theme. So Soar is in, you know, flying kind of thing. And what else did I have? I did have a look, honestly, I can't remember. So playlists, the current ones, I've got birds, New Zealand scenery, colour theory, the art and science of colour, science, let's try and get back to that, mature makeup and style, which this is kind of under, which is also related to that. I've got pigmented paint colours. I was looking at the, you know, different pigments in more detail, including the chemistry. I have a rusty chemistry degree, come back to the science. Art and acrylic painting process and exploration. So those are the playlists, and just to try and organise. I feel like sometimes decluttering my channel is a little bit like decluttering my mind, and sort of can just be you know, worthwhile doing now and again. The thing is, I'm not chasing any algorithms or anything. I'm not making any money from it, so who cares if it logs, you know, 40,000 less views. Really, at the end of the day, it's not really something that bothers me. So I've just put a little bit of this middle one there, which is sort of burgundy-ish, but I'm going to need a little bit of warmth as well with these warmer browns, sort of orangey, rusty kind of ones. Just putting a little bit of the darker brown in there, and I'm just going to use something across there. I just like to improvise and just have quite fun with it. So I prefer a more subtle look, but I am actually wearing colours which on some people would be very look really bold. For instance, this lipstick colours, you know, not that dark on me, but some people they will be. So I've picked out two today which I think might coordinate, and I'm just going to mix them together. And then we'll also do some mascara. Let's do the lips. So this one I've pulled out, it's a little bit warmer, it's Wine with Everything. So it's a little bit more orange compared to this, and then I thought that if it mixes with this other one, which is a touch of violet in it, this one's a classic Raisin Rage. Yeah, I've got something that's almost exactly the same as that. So I've mixed together one that leans a little bit orange, one that leans a little bit violet essentially, but they're both kind of rich. Blended up with something that I think coordinates, and if I wanted to, I could play up the red a little bit. I prefer to blot my lipstick. The main reason I do that is just so it doesn't end up on my teeth later. And yeah, I hope that manufacturers still make the classic lipsticks because that's what I prefer, not all those sticky, tacky ones. And then some of the lipsticks have just got a really strong smell, so I won't use them. So just put a little bit of mascara on, and then we're done for the makeup, I think. So let's come back and just briefly look at the science. And one of the reasons why I'm interested in colour in the first place is I'm interested in the science and the art of colour, and there's all sorts of applications of it, of course. Someone with a rusty science degree and also a rusty graduate teaching diploma in science and chemistry, all pigments, chemical structure, and that's actually what gives rise to the colour with the interaction with light. So a lot of people give physics all the credit, you know, like you know, light waves and all the rest of it. Well, technically light is thought of model as both a wave and a particle, just putting that out there. Even though physics isn't really my thing, I still learned physics to teach at secondary school level, not senior physics, but I could teach junior physics, so we did things like, you know, light studies, you mixing light and electronics and all that sort of stuff. So I didn't do teaching for very long, just many years ago, because just couldn't handle the stress of my health issues. But I was still very interested in the colour aspects, also working in laboratories. Colour is actually used to determine concentrations of various substances and different solutions, etc. So, you know, how much phosphates is in your in water, for example, you know, that kind of thing. I used to work in laboratories. So but actually colour was one of the reasons I went and did the science degree in the first place, because I used to be fascinated by the colours from flame tests and chemistry and stuff. But so what, at the end of the day, there is the coloured pigments in your makeup and your paints, etc. are invented by chemists, and it's the chemical structure that gives you the rise of all the subtle differences. And I actually own probably a couple of dozen different coloured paints, more than lipsticks that I have. Anyway, so there's actually millions of ways that I could combine those. It's going to be quite busy. I like to use a custom palette for every painting. I like to explore different techniques. The thing is that even if you've been painting for years, like I have, you've never arrived. There's always something new to learn, and that's what I really like about it. Like, I don't know if it's a quote or not, but something that was on my head yesterday was, art is a journey. So it's kind of sole purpose is really trying to capture the creative expression. So with the one of the things that really bugs me about colour analysis, as in what colours suit you, etc., is the fake claim that it's scientific. It's actually not. Colour theory itself has scientific components. You know, like for example, Mansell basing, you know, with the concept of the, you know, the value, the hue, and the chroma, the chroma, this way, this direction going outwards. That's based on Mansell, trying to make a more scientific and objective way of classifying colours. The CMY RGB colour model, which this is based on, is like a modern interpretation based on various science with light studies, etc. There's scientific components. There's also limitations. If this is actually printed in CMYK, it has less colours than what you do when you see on your screen with your pixels, but then technically there's only really 3, because you've got 3 pixels, different colours, red, green and blue, which is sort of how our eyes work, so it's perceiving colour. And even with their cameras, I'm a hobby photographer as well. I've got highly commended achievements internationally, just entering a couple of awards. Just learning about those sort of aspects, you know, the camera isn't actually picking up the same as what we see with our eyes. So it's just, it really bugged me though when there's a claim of being scientific as though it's an authority when it's not. Colour analysis is just an application of colour. It's actually more personal and subjective opinion than anything. It's all subject to comparison, and one of the things that really bugs me is this claim that our undertone is a layer underneath our skin. There's no such thing as ripped off from an art concept, which is just the colour when you see when you thin out. For example, just look at our lipstick. So this is same with the paint. You know, when it's all thick like that, it might look one colour, but then it might look a different colour when you thin it out. When you mix it, you compare it, you might see this one here, when you thin it, you might see more the violet-y kind of colours, and this one, they're both reds essentially, but they're kind of muted and rich reds. that one, you know, so that the undertone especially important when you're mixing paints with pigments in your painting. It's good to know the hidden bias. It's really just the hidden bias in your colour. It's not this mysterious layer that's living underneath your skin layer. It's a load of nonsense. Anyway, what was I trying to say about this? Rich colours. I generally prefer richer colours, although I often wear colours just, you know, what's available from the options. So richer colours tend to be kind of, you know, these deeper colours and darker colours, and I think richer colours often have red in them. Whereas these pale colours I wouldn't call rich colours. Just, you know, just different aspects of where you can describe colour. So I've kind of been on a bit of a colour angle for a while. My most practiced creative pursuit is painting, even though I'm still not as productive as a lot of artists just do. You know, aim to do at least a couple of paintings per month. Now writing is something I do in spurts, and something which I was hoping to do a bit more was a sort of hobby, singing. I kind of end up just singing in the car. You know, it's kind of hard when you're living with other people. So anyway, I think with the channel, instead of just it's really just a vlog. The book will probably just take forever. Some things I've just started and then abandoned, you know, but I think the painting is definitely something I've been at it for years, and you know, and recently just gone on sharing, I think, because a lot of people relate to makeup, to share the different colour concepts with makeup, which I might go into a little bit more detail about comparing the colours, and yeah, thanks.